Yo, what's up, Team Good Patrick? And this is a guide to Broken Home. I'll allow you to skip this part in about 30 seconds, but just so you know, if you've never done this before, or even if you have only done it a few times, I would highly recommend you sit through what I have to say at least once because I'm about to give you a lot of information, important information, that will allow you to efficiently and effectively complete this quest. I completed all three of the challenges stated in point number 6 in this video, and I did it in about 23 minutes. So I know what I'm talking about, and if you still don't want to sit through it, I highlighted the most important points in yellow. Look for the time in the bottom right to skip to the next part if you want to. Anyways, first off, there are no skill requirements, quest requirements, or items needed for this quest. In fact, do not bring anything at all because they don't allow it. In this quest, you'll be going inside a mansion. Then you have to go through a series of doors until you reach the end. The entire quest is basically one big maze, and I'll be showing you how to complete it. And all of the information that I currently have written on screen is just some helpful things to know before you actually do the quest. I already said number 1. Number 2 is the only thing on this list that you actually have to remember because you have to actively do it throughout the quest. You'll take a lot of unnecessary damage if you don't. Number 3 and number 4 are just good things to know, but they're not all that important. Number 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all about rewards you can get after the quest. If you wish to read what I have written on screen in more detail, pause the video. Anyways, let's begin. To start the quest, go to the area northeast of Iraq, marked you here on this map. When you get here, talk to Maria and accept the quest. If you have any items on you, bank them using the nearby deposit box 2 steps southeast of Maria. Then when you're ready, go inside the mansion. Open the south door on the west wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the west wall, and then take the Raven Key and clock hands off the ground when they appear. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door on the south wall. Use the clock hands on the grandfather clock to get an eye gem, then search the nearby chest to get mystery meat, which heals you to full health. If you're going for the challenge or challenges, use this wisely, then go through the door on the east wall. Unlock and open the door on the east wall using the Raven Key. Open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the east wall. You're going to have to sort this pile of books by moving them from the left column to the right column, and they have to be arranged a certain way. Unfortunately, the solution is different for everyone, and also every time that you choose to do this, you have to figure it out yourself, and you do that using trial and error, which means you do it randomly and experiment until you figure it out. To move a book, you just click on a book once to move it to the other column. When moving a book from the left column to the right column specifically, the book will automatically go into the first empty slot closest to the bottom. When every book is in the column to the right, click check. It'll tell you if any of the books are out of place starting from the bottom. Well, it'll tell you if 2 of the books are out of place closest to the bottom. And if they are, then click on that book to remove it along with another book because you have to replace it with something. And obviously, if it tells you that any specific book is in the correct spot, then leave that alone. Just keep switching them around until you get it right, but don't switch more than 2 at a time because you'll just confuse yourself. You'll get 2 eye gems when you're done. Also, if you have completed this at least once, you can search the chest in this room for an XP lamp. Open the door in the west wall. Open the door in the north wall. Open the door to the east. Open the door in the north wall. Open the middle door in the south wall. Push the statue to the west. Walk 2 steps south and push the statue to the east. Walk 1 step south and push the statue to the west. Push the statue to the very southwest. Walk 1 step northeast and push the statue to the east. Push the statue to the south, then push the statue to the west. Take the gem and open the door in the north wall. Climb up the stairs to the west. There's a chest with an XP lamp in it next to the stairs. Open the door in the east wall. Open the door in the east wall. Open the south door in the west wall. Search Ingram's research notes to get a spider key and a scroll fragment, then exit the room. Open the northern door on the west wall. Open the door on the west wall. Open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the west wall, which uses the spider key. Open the door on the south wall. Search the dead servant and select the chat option that says yes to get a gem. Open the door on the west wall. Draw back the curtain, say yes, talk to the faceless servant, and say yes again to get a statue key. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the east wall. Open the closest door on the south wall, which uses the statue key. Take the gem off the ground, investigate the statue twice, and open the door on the west wall. Investigate the statue twice, and open the door on the south wall. Investigate the statue twice, and open the door on the east wall. Take the Scythe Key, and open the door on the west wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the west wall. Open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door on the east wall, which uses a Scythe Key. Open the eastern door on the south wall. Investigate the shrine to get 2 keys. There's also a chest in the room with mystery meat if you want it. Open the door on the north wall. Right click the door on the west wall and choose to peek, then click go back. Open the eastern door on the north wall. Open the northern door on the west wall. Open the door on the west wall. Descend the stairs. Open the door furthest to the east on the south wall. Open the door on the west wall. When you get halfway to the door, the room will turn purple. For future reference, when you end up in a purple room, you want to get out of it as fast as possible because it will damage you constantly. Open the door on the west wall, which will lead you to a purple room, so quickly make your way to the southern door on the west wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the north wall, which uses the skull key. Open the southern door on the east wall. Search or mod scribblings to get the second scroll fragment. Open the door on the west wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the west wall. Play the piano, then open the hidden door on the south wall, which will lead to a purple room. So quickly search the scorched skeleton in the southeast corner to get a gem, then leave the room through the hidden door on the north wall. Open the door on the east wall. Open the eastern door on the south wall. Descend the stairs. Open the northern door on the west wall. Search the butler to get a cleaver key, then leave the room using the door on the east wall. Open the eastern door on the north wall, which uses the cleaver key. Turn off your run and walk through the room while avoiding the moving knives. If you run, the broken glass on the floor will damage you. Open the eastern door on the south wall. You can now run again. Open the middle door on the north wall. Search the drawers to get a large pipette. Open the door on the south wall. Open the door furthest to the east on the north wall. Use a large pipette on the pig to get a large pipette of pig bile. Open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the east wall. Search the furnace to find human ashes. Open the door on the west wall. Use the human ashes and a large pipette of pig bile on the cauldron in the southwest corner. Then use the large pipette on the cauldron to get an alkaline concoction. Use the alkaline concoction on the door on the south wall. Then open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the west wall. Investigate the frozen servant. Choose take the key. Then choose pull the key free to get a doll key. Open the door on the east wall. There is a chest with an XP lamp behind the southern door on the east wall. To continue with the quest, go through the northern door on the east wall. Take from the key hooks on the north wall to get the snake key, then click on the ladder and say yes to climb up the ladder. This will lead to purple room, so quickly climb the stairs and open the door on the west wall upstairs. Open the door on the west wall, which uses the Alkaline Key. Climb up the stairs and take the Scythe Key, then talk to a spirit. Descend the stairs. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door furthest to the east on the south wall. Investigate the bust, then enter the trap door in the southwest corner. Search the thief to get a gem, then climb up the ladder. Open the door on the north wall. Open the western door on the south wall. Open the door on the west wall. Open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the east wall. Investigate the statue twice and open the hidden door on the east wall. Take from the shrine of the sun to get the mother's hairbrush, then open the hidden door on the west wall. Open the door on the west wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the west wall. Open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the west wall. Climb up the stairs, talk to spirit, finish the conversation and cutscenes to get a new key. Also, after all this is over, a monster will now chase you through the hallways, and if it touches you, it will kill you instantly. So between that and the purple rooms, these next few steps have to be done super fast, so be ready for that. Open the door on the east wall. Quickly open the next door on the east wall again to avoid the monster, and this will lead to a purple room. In the purple room, open the door on the north wall, then open the door on the east wall. Quickly open the door on the south wall, and finally open the cupboard and climb into it. You'll be safe for now. Follow the path and look for a peephole somewhere along the north wall. Peek in the peephole, click go back, then continue along the path and open a door at the end. There is a chest containing an XP lamp behind the southern door on the east wall. To continue with the quest, open a northern door on the east wall. Descend the stairs. Open the door on the east wall. Descend the stairs. Go into the next area and move every statue over their respective pressure plates except the one to the very north, then stand on the middle yellow pressure plate. Descend the stairs. The chest in this room has an XP lamp in it if you want it. Descend the stairs to continue with the quest. Descend the stairs. Climb down the rope. There will be two chests in this room if you want the items from it. The one to the north has mystery meat, the one to the south has an XP lamp. To continue with the quest, open the door on the east wall. Search the reception desk to get Narber's notes on insanity and the chains key. Open the door on the north wall. Open the door on the east wall. There's a chest with an XP lamp in it in the northwest corner of this room. To continue with the quest, open the door on the east wall, which uses the chains key. Open the door on the east wall. Open the door on the east wall. Go into the southwest corner and take the dagger key. There's also a chest with an XP lamp in it in the chest in the northeast corner. Open the door on the west wall. 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 Open the door on the south wall. Open the door on the west wall. Go west and climb the rope. Climb up the next 4 set of stairs. Open the door on the west wall. Ascend the stairs. Ascend the stairs. The monster will reappear after this room, so do these next few steps as quickly as possible. Open the door on the north wall, then open the western door on the south wall, and open the south door, and finally open the south door again. You are safe in this room for now, but you won't be once you leave, so once again do these next few steps as quickly as possible. Open the door on the east wall, which will lead to a purple room. Climb up the stairs, go to the door on the east wall upstairs, move the servant, and open the door. Finally, open the western door on the south wall. Search Ingram's Rantings to get the third and final scroll fragment. Click on one of the scroll fragments to combine them. There's a chest with an XP lamp in it behind the door on the east wall. To continue with the quest, do not leave the room yet. Watch what I do first because the next part has to be done quickly and you only have one shot or else you'll die. In which case you have to get back to this point and try again, which will be very annoying. What you're going to do is leave the room using the door on the north wall. Quickly run east to somewhere around the middle of the hallway. And as soon as the monster appears, use the scroll on the monster. Make sure this is the completed scroll where you combine all the scroll fragments. The monster does not have to be fully visible. As long as the option is there for you to click on, you're good. Once this is done successfully, you'll be completely safe from the monster and the purple rooms. Talk to the monster and select any chat option you want. Open the door on the west wall. climb down the stairs and talk to Lenian. If you look at the bottom of my chat box, by the way, here's proof that I completed it in 23 minutes. Leave the mansion, and when you get the chat option, choose yes. Talk to Maria, and that'll be the end of the quest. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, remember to like, favorite, and subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you later. Peace.